We live in a world that measures value by the hour. An hour worked, an hour billed, an hour earned. But what if I told you that 1 hour, one single focused hour, could be the difference between the life you have and the life you dream about? Not because of how much you squeeze into it, but because of why you dedicate it in the first place. When we think about change, we often imagine it as something massive, a complete overhaul, a life turned upside down in an instant. We love stories about overnight success because they make it seem like transformation is fast and dramatic, but reality doesn't work that way. True change doesn't happen because we find an extra 10 hours in the day. It happens because we decide to dedicate just 1 hour with intent. 1 hour not for the world, not for the job, not for the obligations we carry, but for something deeper. 1 hour for what matters most to us. The truth is, it's never about the time itself. It's about the meaning we attach to it. It's not about squeezing more into your day, it's about choosing something that fuels you. The real question is not, can I spare an hour? The real question is, what am I willing to fight for with my hour? Every single one of us gets 24 hours, no exceptions. The leaders who inspire us, the innovators who reshape industries, the artists who move our souls, they don't have more hours than we do. They just see one of those hours differently. They use it differently, they show up for it differently, they give it purpose. When you start with why, everything changes. That 1 hour becomes sacred. It's no longer a battle against the clock, it's a commitment to yourself. It's a declaration that your dreams, your growth, your impact are worth showing up for. Even if it's just for 1 hour today, and then 1 hour tomorrow, and then 1 hour the day after that. Intentional time has a power most people never tap into because intentional time isn't rushed, it's not distracted, it's not half-hearted, it's deliberate, it's chosen, it's protected. That's what makes it transformative. Most people live their lives responding to things. Responding to emails, to deadlines, to demands, to expectations. But when you carve out 1 hour purely because you believe in a future that doesn't exist yet, that's leadership, that's vision. It's ownership of your life. Think about this. If you spent 1 hour a day investing in your health, where would you be in a year? If you spent 1 hour a day developing a skill you care about, how good would you be 12 months from now? If you spent 1 hour a day simply reflecting, journaling, thinking deeply, connecting with yourself, how clear would your vision become? It's not about the speed, it's about the direction. People often say they don't have time, but the reality is they haven't made a choice. It's easier to stay busy with things that feel urgent. It's harder to commit to what feels important but isn't urgent yet. That's why so few people truly change their lives, because they wait for the perfect moment. They wait for free time to magically appear. They wait for circumstances to be ideal. But leadership isn't about waiting. It's about choosing. It's about saying, I may not have all the time, but I have 1 hour, and that's enough to start. The beautiful thing about 1 hour is that it's manageable. It doesn't require you to quit your job, abandon your responsibilities, or overhaul your schedule. It requires you to be intentional. To say, for this 1 hour, I will not negotiate, I will not drift, I will not sacrifice this time for something that doesn't move me closer to the life I believe in. What you do in that hour matters. But what matters even more is why you do it. Are you learning to lead better because you believe leadership can change lives? Are you building something because you believe it needs to exist in the world? Are you creating, improving, growing? Because deep down you know you're capable of more. Purpose is the fuel. Without it, the hour becomes just another block on the calendar. With it, the hour becomes sacred. 1 hour a day might not seem like much in the beginning. In fact, it might feel small, insignificant even. But that's because most people underestimate the power of compounded effort. 1 hour a day is 365 hours a year. That's over 9 full work weeks, focused entirely on your growth, your purpose, your dreams. Imagine what kind of impact you could create with 9 full weeks you never thought you had. More importantly, imagine the person you would become by showing up for yourself day after day. Not because someone told you to, not because it was easy, but because you believed it mattered. 1 hour a day isn't about the results you'll see right away. It's about the identity you build. The belief that you are someone who honors your purpose even when no one is watching. Change isn't a lightning strike, it's a sunrise. Gradual, steady, inevitable if you stay committed. And it all starts with a simple choice. 1 hour. Not someday, not when you're ready, today, now. With a reason that makes you light up inside. So don't look at your calendar and ask, where will I find the time? Look within yourself and ask, what do I believe in enough to make the time? Because the truth is, 1 hour a day isn't just about changing your habits. 1 hour a day filled with purpose can change your life. And if you can change your life, you can change the world. We live in a culture that worships intensity. We celebrate the big moments, the grand gestures, the dramatic transformations. We see someone run a marathon and we cheer. We hear a story about an all-nighter that launched a business and we admire the hustle. We're drawn to the peaks, the highlights, the bursts of energy that make for good headlines. But real, lasting success isn't built on intensity, it's built on consistency. Consistency beats intensity every time because intensity is a moment, but consistency is a mindset. Anyone can push hard for a day. Anyone can make a massive effort when motivation strikes or the stakes are high. But what really changes lives is the ability to show up over and over again, especially when the excitement has worn off and no one is watching. It's easy to sprint. It's hard to keep walking when the road stretches out endlessly ahead of you. The truth is, intensity is exciting, but consistency is powerful. Intensity makes you feel like a hero for a day. Consistency makes you a champion for a lifetime. Intensity is impressive, but consistency is transformative. Then when you dedicate 1 hour a day to something that matters to you, it's not about how intense you are in that hour. It's about the fact that you return to it the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. It's the quiet, unglamorous repetition that builds something extraordinary over time. The leaders we admire, the creators who inspire us, the change makers who move the world forward, they didn't get there through one explosive effort. They got there because they chose to be consistent, especially on the days when it would have been easier not to. Consistency is a kind of trust. It's a promise you make to yourself that says, I will show up even when it's hard. I will show up even when I don't feel like it. I will show up because what I am building matters. Without consistency, even the most brilliant ideas fade away. Without consistency, even the most powerful dreams wither. Without consistency, potential remains just that, potential. The temptation to rely on intensity is strong because it feels good. It feels good to go all in for a moment. It feels good to make a big move and hear the applause, but intensity is a sugar rush. It gives you a quick hit of energy and excitement, but it doesn't sustain you. Consistency, on the other hand, is like planting seeds. Day after day, you water them. Even when you can't see the growth yet, you trust that something is happening beneath the surface. And eventually it is. The question we have to ask ourselves isn't, how hard can I push today? It's, can I keep showing up tomorrow? Greatness is not built in the moments when we feel unstoppable. It's built in the quiet hours when we wonder if what we're doing is even making a difference and we choose to keep going anyway. Consistency demands patience. It demands faith. It demands a belief that small actions, repeated faithfully, matter. And they do. Because every time you show up, even a little bit, you are casting a vote for the person you are becoming. Every hour you commit, you are reinforcing the identity of someone who follows through. Someone who doesn't just start, but finishes. Imagine the compounding effect of showing up for yourself 1 hour a day, every day, for a year. It doesn't feel like much at first. An hour today won't change your life overnight. But an hour today, plus an hour tomorrow, plus an hour the next day, that's momentum. That's how mountains are moved. One small stone at a time. People often overestimate what they can do in a short, intense burst and underestimate what they can do with steady, deliberate effort over time. It's not about the sprint, it's about the stride. It's about finding a rhythm you can sustain, not just for a week, not just for a month, but for as long as it takes to become who you are meant to be. And here's the beautiful part. When you commit to consistency, intensity finds you anyway. There will be moments when the work catches fire, when your progress accelerates, when opportunities arise you never could have planned for. But those moments only happen because you were consistent first. Consistency creates the space for intensity to show up when it matters most. It's easy to get discouraged when the results don't come fast enough. It's easy to wonder if the effort is worth it when no one notices, when there's no instant payoff. But remember, every great story of transformation is a story of perseverance, of resilience, of showing up when no one was clapping yet. 1 hour a day doesn't just build skills or projects or businesses. It builds character. It builds the kind of resilience that doesn't crumble when challenges come. It builds the kind of belief that doesn't waver when doubts creep in. It builds the kind of momentum that eventually becomes unstoppable. So if you're waiting for the perfect surge of energy, the perfect wave of motivation to carry you through, stop waiting. Start showing up. Start trusting that small steps taken every day will carry you farther than the biggest leap you take once in a while. Consistency over intensity. It's not flashy, it's not dramatic, but it's how real change happens. It's how dreams become reality. It's how leaders are made. 1 hour at a time, one choice at a time, one quiet, deliberate act of belief at a time. The future you want isn't built in the bursts, it's built in the steady beat of footsteps that say, I am moving forward, I am showing up, I am building something that matters. And when you look back one day, you won't remember every intense sprint you made. You'll remember that you stayed the course, you stayed true, you stayed committed. And because of that, everything changed. I mean, I'm trained to look for the big moments, the major breakthroughs, the grand victories that make headlines and turn heads. It's what we celebrate, what we talk about, what we're taught to chase. But the truth is, big shifts in life, in work, in leadership, don't start with a single giant leap. They start with small wins, consistent, intentional, meaningful wins that seem almost invisible in the moment, but compound into something extraordinary over time. Small wins are easy to overlook because they don't always feel significant when they happen. Answering one more email, making one more phone call, practicing your skill for just 1 more hour. They don't feel like life-changing events. And that's the mistake we make. We believe that if it's not monumental, it's not meaningful. But nothing could be further from the truth. Every big success story you admire is really a collection of small wins strung together by someone who refused to quit. It wasn't one deal that built the company. It wasn't one performance that made the career. It wasn't one decision that shaped the legacy. It was thousands of tiny choices stacked quietly, patiently, day after day after day. Small wins relentlessly pursued create unstoppable momentum. The beauty of small wins is that they are within reach. Every day, every hour. You don't need to wait for perfect conditions. You don't need to wait until you feel ready. You can create a small win today. You can create one tomorrow. And when you string enough of them together, they stop being small. They start to shift the way you see yourself. They start to shift the very trajectory of your life. Small wins build confidence. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how minor it seems, you're sending a message to your brain, I can trust myself. I can follow through. I am the kind of person who shows up. Confidence doesn't come from hoping you'll succeed. It comes from proving in small ways that you can. Small wins are the proof points that build belief. Small wins create habits. Big actions are impressive, but they're hard to sustain. Habits, on the other hand, shape who you become. And habits are built through repetition, through consistency, through the tiny victories that accumulate quietly in the background. Every time you make the choice to honor your hour, every time you complete the task you said you would, you are reinforcing a habit. Not just the habit of doing the work, but the habit of believing in yourself. Small wins shift your mindset. They turn I hope I can into I know I can. They transform effort from something you dread into something you trust. When you start seeing progress, even small progress, you stop seeing the work as a burden. You start seeing it as a path. You start to realize that success isn't something that happens to other people. It's something you build, one brick at a time. 1 hour a day might not feel like it matters at first, but that's because we're conditioned to expect fireworks. We want the transformation to be immediate and dramatic. But real growth is quieter than that. It's subtle, it's cumulative. It happens when you don't quit after a week or a month or even a year. It happens when you stack small win after small win until one day you look around and realize you're not the same person you used to be. The win is getting up early even when you don't feel like it. It's writing the page even when you're not inspired. It's making the call even when you're nervous. It's pushing through the workout, even when it would be easier to stop. It's choosing growth when comfort is calling your name. Those moments, those choices, those wins, the greatest leaders, the most impactful innovators, the artists who change culture, they didn't get there because of one moment of genius. They got there because they honored the small wins. They respected the process. They trusted that little by little, progress compounds into something profound. Small wins also make the journey sustainable. When you chase only the big wins, you set yourself up for exhaustion. You start swinging for the fences every day, and when you don't hit a home run, you feel like you failed. But when you celebrate the small wins, when you recognize the value in simply moving forward, you fuel your resilience. You stay energized, you stay engaged, you stay in the game. But as life is not won in a day, greatness is not decided in a moment. It's earned quietly through the accumulation of small wins that most people overlook or dismiss. It's built through the steady, faithful work that no one applauds until one day they can't ignore it anymore. And here's something even more powerful. Small wins don't just change your results, they change your identity. Every time you achieve a small win, you reinforce the story you tell yourself about who you are. If you consistently show up for your hour a day, the story you start to believe is, I am disciplined, I am committed, I am capable of growth. And once you believe that, everything else becomes possible. Change doesn't happen because you want it badly enough. Change happens because you build it patiently, deliberately, one small win at a time, 1 hour at a time, one choice at a time. That's the path. That's the real secret to a life of impact and meaning. So today, don't chase the huge win. Chase the small one. Show up for your hour. Do the work. Celebrate the progress, no matter how tiny it seems. Stack another small victory on the foundation you're building, because over time, those small wins will add up to something extraordinary. They will shift your mindset. They will shift your habits. They will shift your future. And when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't the grand moments that changed your life. It's the small wins, honored every day, that built a life you once only dreamed of living. There's a truth that often gets lost in the race to achieve, to accomplish, to build something impressive. In a world obsessed with results, we are taught to focus almost entirely on what we do, the goals we reach, the milestones we hit, the awards we collect. But the real measure of success isn't what you do, it's who you become in the process. What you do can be taken away. Titles change, businesses evolve, markets collapse, opportunities rise and fall, but who you become, your character, your values, your resilience, that stays with you. That's what you carry forward no matter what the circumstances. That's what shapes every future choice you make. That's what determines how you show up for the people around you. That's what defines your leadership, your legacy, your life. When you dedicate 1 hour a day to something meaningful, it's easy to get caught up in the outcomes. We want to see immediate results. We want proof that our time is paying off. But the greatest reward is not the external achievement. It's the internal transformation. It's the way you start to see yourself differently, the way you handle challenges differently, the way you live differently. Consistency in effort isn't just about finishing projects or reaching goals. It's about becoming a person who is disciplined, focused, patient, and committed. It's about forging a mindset that can weather storms. It's about nurturing the courage to keep showing up when things get hard and the humility to keep learning when things go well. The hour you spend today might not make you a millionaire tomorrow. The book you write today might not be a bestseller next month. The conversation you have today might not immediately change someone's life, but every hour, every action is an investment in the kind of person you are becoming. And over time, that investment compounds into something more valuable than any external reward ever could. What you do matters, of course, but it is only the surface. It is the visible part of something much deeper. It is the reflection of the invisible work happening inside you. the work of building character, the work of strengthening conviction, the work of becoming the kind of person who doesn't give up easily, who leads with integrity, who inspires trust, who brings others along for the journey. That's the real prize. Not the trophy, not the title, not the prize is becoming the kind of person who earns those things but isn't defined by them. This is why the journey matters so much. The process shapes you far more than the outcome ever could. If you focus only on achieving a goal, you might reach it, but at what cost? If you sacrifice your values, your relationships, your integrity to get there, was it really a win? But if you focus on becoming better, stronger, wiser through the pursuit of the goal, then whether you reach it or not, you win, because you become someone capable of building new goals, new dreams, new futures. There's a profound difference between people who chase results and people who commit to growth. One is motivated by fear of not measuring up, fear of being left behind, fear of not being enough. The other is motivated by belief. Belief that the best is always yet to come. Belief that growth is infinite. Belief that who they are becoming is far more important than any single achievement. When you anchor your 1 hour a day in becoming, not just doing, you free yourself from the exhausting chase for validation. You stop measuring success by how fast you get there or how many people notice. You start measuring success by the depth of your growth, by the strength of your character, by the impact you have on the people you touch along the way. The world doesn't need more people who are good at checking boxes. It needs more people who are good at becoming better leaders, better listeners, better collaborators, better human beings. It needs people who understand that their real power lies not in their resume, but in their relationships. Not in their accomplishments, but in their authenticity. Not in their image, but in their integrity. When you spend 1 hour a day working towards something that matters to you, you're doing much more than building a skill or completing a task. You are building yourself. You are shaping the kind of person who will be ready for whatever opportunity, whatever challenge, whatever adventure comes next. You are becoming someone you can be proud of. And the beautiful thing is, no one can take that away from you. Markets can crash, businesses can fail, titles can disappear, but character endures, wisdom endures, purpose endures. Those things are yours to keep, and they are far more valuable than anything you could ever achieve. So the question isn't, what am I doing with my hour? The question is, who am I becoming because of my hour? Am I becoming more courageous? Am I becoming more compassionate? Am I becoming more resilient? Am I becoming someone who lifts others up, who leads with empathy, who creates ripples of impact that extend far beyond my own achievements? Because ultimately, that's what matters, that's what lasts. That's what makes the journey worth it. When you focus on who you are becoming, every hour counts. Even the ones that feel frustrating, even the ones that feel slow, even the ones when progress is invisible. Every hour is a brick in the foundation of a life that is rich, not just in achievement, but in meaning. 1 hour a day, anchored in purpose, rooted in growth, aimed not just at results, but at transformation. That is how lives are changed. And that is how leaders are born. That is how legacies are built. You are not just working toward a goal. You are working toward a version of yourself that the world desperately needs, a version of yourself that you will be proud to know, a version of yourself that will leave a mark, not because of what you did, but because of who you chose to become along the way. It's easy to think of life as something that happens in the big moments, the celebrations, the achievements, the milestones we mark with photographs and speeches. But life isn't made up of a handful of highlights. Life is made up of days, ordinary days, days that seem insignificant when they happen, but when strung together, become the story of who we are and what we stood for. Your life is not defined by what you plan to do someday. It's not built by your dreams alone, no matter how vivid or inspiring they might be. Your life is defined by what you do today, by how you choose to spend the ordinary Tuesday afternoon when no one is watching, by what you prioritize on the slow mornings and the long evenings. Your life is the sum of all the choices you make when it would be easier to do nothing at all. 1 hour a day might sound like a small thing, an insignificant sliver of time. But when you understand that every day matters, that every hour is a brick in the house you are building, it becomes clear how powerful that commitment really is. Because if you can win today, you can win your life. We often tell ourselves that we'll start living differently later. We'll chase our dreams later. We'll become better versions of ourselves when the timing is right, when the pressure is off, when life isn't so busy. But there is no later. There is only today, and then another today, and then another. Waiting for the perfect time is just another way of deciding not to start. And every day you wait is a day you don't get back. If you want to change your life, you don't have to wait for a new year or a fresh start. You can begin now. Right here, right where you are. All it takes is one choice: to value today enough to invest in it. To stop seeing today as something to survive and start seeing it as something to shape. Because the truth is, your days are shaping you, whether you realize it or not. Every day you delay, you are practicing the habit of waiting. Every day you procrastinate, you are reinforcing the identity of someone who puts dreams on hold. But every day you show up, even imperfectly, even for just 1 hour, you are practicing the habit of becoming. You are building the identity of someone who honors their potential, someone who values their life enough not to waste it. Success isn't a massive event that happens overnight. It's the quiet accumulation of effort. It's the result of ordinary days spent doing extraordinary things, like keeping your promises to yourself, staying committed to your purpose, finding meaning in the process even when the results aren't immediate. When you spend 1 hour a day on what matters most to you, you are casting a vote for the future you want to live in. You are telling yourself and the world that this matters, that your dream matters, that your growth matters, that your life matters. And here's the thing. 1 hour a day doesn't just add up, it multiplies. Because what you focus on expands. When you give an hour to your craft, your passion, your mission, you become more connected to it. You start seeing opportunities where before there were only obstacles. You start finding energy where before there was only exhaustion. You start believing, not because someone told you to, but because you have evidence, real tangible evidence that you are moving forward. The small daily actions compound into something much bigger than the sum of their parts. They create momentum, they build resilience, they generate the kind of quiet confidence that doesn't shout, but doesn't need to. It simply knows. 1 hour a day might not seem like much at first, and at the beginning it might even feel frustrating. Progress might be invisible, change might seem slow, but that's the nature of all meaningful growth. It happens below the surface, in the unseen moments of commitment, long before it bursts into something everyone else can see. The greatest mistake we can make is believing that only the big days matter, that only the days when everything goes right are worth celebrating, that only the moments of recognition define our worth. The truth is, it's the accumulation of ordinary days, honored with extraordinary intention, that shapes an extraordinary life. When you look back at your life, you won't remember every detail of every day, but you will remember the feeling of living on purpose. You will remember the seasons when you chose growth over comfort. You will remember the pride of staying true to your values when it would have been easier to drift. You will remember that you didn't wait for permission or for the perfect moment. You chose to show up. Hour after hour, day after day. Your life is being written right now. Not in the someday you're waiting for, not in the grand moment you hope is coming, but in the quiet hours of today. In the small decisions you make when no one else is looking, in the way you honor the opportunity you have, not someday, but now. If you want a life filled with meaning, start by filling your days with meaning. If you want a life of impact, start by making an impact today, even if it's only on yourself. If you want to be proud of the story you've written, start by writing one good page today. 1 page at a time, 1 hour at a time, one deliberate, purposeful act of belief at a time. Because the truth is, extraordinary lives are just ordinary days. Loved well. They are the product of people who understood that the present is not a waiting room for the future, it is the workshop where the future is built. You have today, you have this hour. What you choose to do with it is what you are choosing to do with your life. Choose well.